Welcome to the Entrepreneurs in Bali podcast, your digital escape into the lives of the entrepreneurs living in Bali. I am Daniel Huysamen, and each week we dive into the art of living freely, working remotely, and discovering what it takes to get there. Join us as we explore the secrets to financial freedom, share tips on navigating the digital nomad lifestyle, and hear from nomads who've made Bali their temporary or permanent home. From what they do, how they do it, and how they got into it. We are covering it all. Whether you're here for the strategies, the secrets, or listening for the enjoyment of each entrepreneur story, Entrepreneurs in Bali is your guide to thriving in this island paradise. So hit the follow button, download, and get yourself a coconut so that we can kick off this next entrepreneur's journey together. So welcome. This is our first podcast.
Thanks, brother. It's great to be here.
I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yep. So my name's Revel. I've been in business for 12 years. I started a marketing agency in 2012, and with my first business, more so being around personal training, and I was pretty early into the Facebook advertising side of things. And I got really sick of putting flyers on cars and going around giving out pamphlets as guerrilla marketing strategies. And then when I Googled how to get more personal training clients, and someone started talking about Facebook ads, and I was like, oh, I can spend like $5 a day and get a few clients. I'm like, well, I ain't going out and putting out pamphlets on in cars anymore. So then I made that sort of transition and had a few businesses, a few different things along the way. And then now, as of 2024, my business partner and I, funnily, his name's Daniel as well, seems to be a good name. We've got a solar business in Queensland, 30 plus staff and growing. And I have a boutique marketing agency as well.
For how long have the marketing agency been going now?
So I've been dabbling in Facebook ads for a bit over 12 years now. Okay. And then the solar business, I think we're 6 years, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how do you feel? Because I've heard that the Facebook ads, like the difficulty is just getting harder and harder, and the price is going up, and a lot of people are like falling out because of it being just like too high for them to still make a profit out of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think generally speaking, majority of my clients have been service-based. Okay. So mostly lead generation campaigns with, let's say, 20% of my client portfolio being product-based e-commerce. Okay. And I've really found it to be the business or the clients or the businesses with the more compelling offers and the really dialed in audiences to have the most success. And so, for example, like the solar systems we sell are not cheap. You know, we're talking 12, 15, sometimes 25 grand.
And so there's Australian dollars.
Yes. Right? Okay. And so there's a good amount of margin in there for us to be able to, spend quite comfortably on Facebook ads. Okay. Yeah. It's quite an extreme example. Yeah. Have
you dabbled a bit in Google ads and things like TikTok and Instagram, or
TikTok
only?
Definitely.
Really?
Yeah, okay. TikTok definitely. Google I've dabbled in, but it's another beast entirely. Yeah. And as they say, you kind of want to stay in your lane and really go quite deep on it and become a technician. Yeah. Whereas I just found I know people who are quite proficient at Facebook ads and Google ads and everything else under one umbrella, but I've just found as soon as I start to scatter my efforts and learn another platform, it does take away from trying to stay up to date with what is already a turbulent advertising platform like Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. Yeah.
I've found, like, out of personal use and not nearly the expertise level as you, but I like Google for some reason, because a lot of the things, for example, like my software company, if someone search on Google for a software that will solve that problem, like a review management company or software, then I can like target that person.
Yeah.
While for me to advertise on Facebook, it's completely different, because how many people are like, it's going to be difficult for me to convince them why they need it if they're not already kind of like in the market for it.
Exactly.
So for me, I like Google because the person I get is the person already searching for it.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can go for globally, like any person, there's always a market somewhere.
Yeah.
But I guess for you, where you're like more target for a specific area, there you can't always go for Google because it's gonna be a very smaller market.
You make a really good point, because like I think the framework with your software might be that of Google. Makes a lot of sense for most businesses, to be fair, because people searching on Google are problem aware. They're aware that they have a problem, and then they're searching for the solution, and then Google provides the solution. So now they're solution aware, like your software, right? Same with solar. It's just what I've found is that in my limited experience of Google, it's just some industries like lawyers, like an entry-level lawyer starting their own firm trying to do Google ads, terribly expensive.
Yes.
Same with solar, other industries, real estate, all that kind of stuff. But where you can find those pockets where it's not as competitive, then you tend to do quite well. And then on the flip side, your social platforms like your Facebook and your Instagram and your TikTok, it's more consideration based. So it's like, I'm interrupting your scroll, or someone's interrupting my scroll. As you know, here in Bali, we see a lot of different ads. I see a lot of ads for like podcast studios, villas, real estate, property, day clubs, all that kind of stuff. See a lot from Savaya recently because they're doing their Law of the Jungle stuff. And so interrupting the feed, and then if it's good enough engagement and a good enough hook, now you've got me to try and have me consider taking the next step, which is a click to a website or
I also feel that with Facebook, the only difference actually is, as you just mentioned, on Google, they know they have a problem and they're searching for it. On Facebook, when you advertise, your advertisements should be different in the way of showing the person that they have a problem before selling them on the idea. Correct?
Yeah, it's good marketing. It's like you kind of edge into the gray area of like, is this ethical or is this unethical? But I think in the grand scheme of things, if let's take weight loss, for example. I think the majority of people want to, not even weight loss, but the health and fitness industry, the majority of people are trying to transform their body in some way, shape or form. And very competitive industry. Say with your Google ad, someone might be searching for like a quick fix or a liposuction or hydroxy or whatever the newest fad kind of thing is, or the newest diet. And then on your Facebook side of things, no one's really searching for anything. So you have to, be quite, it's interruption-based marketing. So you have to be quite direct with not only hooking and stopping them, but showing them very quickly that I have a solution if you're suffering with this problem. You know what I mean? So you have to do all of that fairly quickly, usually within 45 to 60 seconds.
Sure.
Yeah.
I expected it to be a little less, actually, because people scroll so quickly.
True. So like your hook, for example, it's like if you're struggling, so a hook framework that we use quite often would be, if you're XYZ avatar and you're struggling with an ABC problem, this is for you. And that's like a 3-second hook. And that works majority of the time. And at least stopping them. And then depending on your next part of your scripting, then you kind of work out how you're going to go get them to take the next step, go to the website or whatever it is.
So let's combine your two businesses now, the solar and the marketing. If you had to, I'm sure you already have a few, but let's say you have to write a script for a new marketing video for that solar company in Queensland. What will the layout more or less be? Like a summary? You don't have to give word by word, but you'll say like, obviously the first part is your hook, how you get them, and then from there on.
It's a good question, because I've been doing that for the last week and a bit, because we're expanding at the moment. So our hooks usually consist of calling out the local geographical area that we're advertising to. So for example, in Queensland, we advertise in the Sunshine Coast, which is above Brisbane, and then Gold Coast. So that's kind of our operational area. We just basically say Queensland homeowners when we're advertising to that. So, hey, Queensland homeowners, exacerbate the problem. Are you tired of paying high electricity bills? If so, this is for you. You know what I mean? Or consider solar, or da 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 da. That's kind of the brief version. We do expand on a little bit more, because advertising solar is not sexy, and to be honest, no one wants to see ads about solar in Australia. Everyone's kind of over it.
Sure.
So we have to be very creative. I'll show you after this. We've got a really good ad that does really well. My business partner spills coffee on himself. It's our best performing ad for like nearly 2 years now.
Was it on purpose or accident?
No, it's on purpose. Yeah, it's fully scripted.
Okay.
Yeah, some of these little gems come through, and then him and I talk about it, and then we run it by his wife, who does our books. She's kind of like the quality control, because Daniel and I had these wild ideas, and we bring them and we shoot them, and then we send them to her, and we're like, "Is this okay?" So she's kind of like the final step there before it goes live. But say, for example, to come back to the question, if we're advertising in Townsville, which is far north Queensland, nowhere near Brisbane, Sunshine Coast or Gold Coast, we will say, hey Townsville. So we're calling out the local geographical area. Same problem that they're suffering with. If you're sick of paying high electricity bills, this is for you. Consider solar. And then we go into a bit of a spiel here. You present our offer. And so our scripting structure, well, not just ours, but for my marketing clients as well, is just a hook that calls out the audience, problem they're solving, a problem they're suffering with, a body of content that makes them feel like you understand their problem and where they're sitting at this point in time, and then a strong direct call to action, which is usually something like, click the link below, fill out the form, and we'll reach out to you. Yeah.
Nice. And in the solar company, what's your tasks more or less? Like, what's your role in the job other than just like the title? Like, what's your daily tasks that you would do to keep it going?
I would say, in order of appearance during the day, it would be first touch point is fairly early in the morning. Being in Bali, we are 2 hours behind Queensland. So the first touch point is how did we go the day before? So that's about 10 to 12 minute task. And so I'm looking at how many inquiries we got. I'm looking at how much per inquiry. I'm looking at the different geographical locations that we're advertising. So it's kind of more or less an overview, very quick overview. And then we have our morning huddles, which go for, they should go for 10 minutes, but they usually go for about 20. And so we have a huddle, and so all our managers jump on. We have a bit of conversation about how things are going. We say what we're grateful for. You try and, set a positive intention for the day, all of that good stuff. And then after that, I'm jumping into some more creative, heavy tasks. So if I'm writing any scripts, or if I am, or myself and Christine, who's my creative director, she supports editing videos and all that kind of jazz, or graphic design, then we'll have that meeting and move into some scripting or editing videos, all that kind of jazz. And then around lunchtime, if I'm launching any campaigns, that's what I'm usually doing after breakfast. And then usually in the afternoon, it might be a case of just a couple of quick calls or some communications with the rest of the team, small little admin tasks. Yeah, it's like I try to do a lot of the heavier tasks in the morning, like bite the bullet, so to speak. And then in the afternoon is I can kind of coast, I can cruise. And that's what I consider to be, bonus work hours. Yeah.
Nice. And if, for example, you were to be abducted by aliens, how is that going to affect your business?
Well,
like if you just disappear now, like
right
nothing,
now,
no warning, nothing.
Something gonna come up behind, gone.
We can animate like a
Revel's gone. Daniel would have to call my Daniel and be like, Rev's gone, man. Like, find another market. No, look, if I disappeared today, I think Daniel, my business partner, would be capable of finding another marketer that would be able to pick up the slack.
Okay.
So that's okay.
Not nearly as good, but try at least.
Oh, look, you know what? I wouldn't say I'm naive enough to think I'm the best for that. In fact, on occasion, we'll bring in marketing consultants to bring new ideas to the table. Two brains is always better than one. But what would we do? What would Daniel do? We'd put a new marketer or an advertiser in place very quickly.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good. Do you know Sabri Subi?
Yeah.
He's quite cool. I like his
Sell
content.
Like Crazy, his book. Yeah.
Nice. Is he from Australia or not? He
he's
has
in
that
Sydney.
accent.
Yep, he's in Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to say. Nice.
Yeah. It's a good book.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you've read the book. Nice.
Yeah.
For giving him free publicity in a.
Do you know what's interesting?
Is first one.
Exactly, like the amount of exposure because that book of his is a by marketing design, a lead magnet, right? So it's the free but pay shipping model, which is wildly successful.
Yeah.
And as a lead magnet drives people into his marketing agency, which is King Kong.
Yeah.
Very successful.
Even after that book, you get like upsells
Oh
one
yeah.
after the other.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
went through buying the book for my mother. I listened to the audiobook,
Yeah.
and then my mother had like a case where she needed some like marketing skills, so
Yeah.
I just bought her the book, and she implemented that actually in like a TikTok video. And
Oh
she's
really?
like almost 60 years old, somewhere there.
Yeah.
And so they, obviously at that age, they're not so educated with TikTok. So she added in the description, like, this is what it will do. For example, like, that's not what you said, but something like that,
Yeah.
where earlier she always gave like gave the candy in the description. Now she like gave a teaser.
Right.
And her videos went, I think average she got like 400 views. On that one she got like 11,000 views.
Wow.
And
Makes
she
a
was like,
difference.
wow. And that's
Yeah.
just that little caption difference, and that she learned from the book, is
Yep.
to like dangle the carrot.
Yep.
So
Makes sense.
yeah,
Like
even for her.
it makes a. Do you remember the? Oh, you understand the concept of engagement bait. So you'd have like, let's say, used to happen a lot on Facebook, probably still does.
Yeah.
And they'll have the image of like something that's happening. It's like, I can't believe
Yeah.
she did this,
Yeah.
and it's like a blurry photo. It's suggestive, and you're like, piques enough curiosity for you to click, and then you go to a website, and there's this giant blog, and the actual punchline is way down the bottom after a bunch of like Google AdSense ads, like at the bottom. It's a funny concept, but yeah, the engagement baiting of that style of, I would say, is really just a different format of a good hook. You know. You pique enough curiosity and you can get most people to do just about anything, even if it is just go and read a thing or watch a video. Yeah.
Definitely. In COVID times, 2020, their Facebook was just flooded with those videos with like the most stupidest things, like, look what will happen when we throw this bottle off the steps, and then it's the 20-minute video where they like walk around doing it the whole time, and then at the end they do it. That was, I got so irritated with that, so I just skipped it. But I understand that 99% of people, they actually fall for it and they sit and watch the whole time.
Man. Yeah. Yes. The payoff is usually never of value. Like the production value that goes into that outweighs what the consumer gets at the end of the content.
Yeah. But I feel like in those cases, it's just for entertainment purposes.
True.
But in a business case, you actually want to have a good reward at the end of the video, so that you actually feel like you get something proper from this company and not just a piece of crap.
Yeah. I think providing value is always a big thing. Like, are you familiar with Alex Hormozy?
No.
If you like Sabri, you will love Alex Hormozy. Like his book, $100 Million Offers, was an absolute game changer for how I frame not just mine, but our clients and our solar businesses offers on advertising and on at point of sale as well. It's a great book, but the basically has this formula which is called the value equation, and it's like you have the desired outcome of the consumer or the client. And then there's a few boxes you have to tick and a few things that you can address to increase the perceived value of what you're offering, whether it's a product or a service. And then over to the right, you have what's called the perceived likelihood of achievement, which you have to convey to the consumer. You can do this, or you can get this desired outcome, and how you go about doing that. So that might be, testimonials, reviews, all that kind of stuff, and they can see that 1,000 other people have gotten the desired outcome that they want. And so you look at conveying that in your advertising or your point of sale. And then below that, you've got time delay, how fast they can get the desired outcome. So in a health and fitness sense, you've got, you and I, we train, which is, my legs are still sore, but, we can train and we can get a result. It's going to take longer than, say, something like liposuction to lose fat, as an example. But the reason that liposuction is even a thing is because the time delay is very short. They go to sleep, they wake up, they're thin, and then the generic way is obviously spending, let's just say, at least 8 weeks of committed, training, eating, all that kind of stuff to get the desired outcome. So time delay. So you've got trying to increase the perceived likelihood that they can get the outcome. You want to look at decreasing the amount of time it takes to get the desired outcome. And then the final piece is the effort and the sacrifice, which will be a combination of investment or what's required financially to do the thing. and then where you can reduce that or stagger payments, all that kind of stuff, and reduce that down to as close to zero as you can. Now you've got, say, a product or service, and you push it through that equation, you've got something that is at least perceived higher value than when you've started. So it might be something like, I will run, like, you want new customers, and instead of just running ads for people, you might be like, I will not only find you new customers, I will sell them into your offer, into your business, and then in terms of effort and sacrifice, you don't pay me until I sell them into your business. So you literally take all of the work off the table, as a pretty extreme example. So that's a really good offer. So I've found that a lot of businesses in general, and even clients that can, take that into account from Alex Hormozi's book, you usually have a pretty immediate increase in success.
Nice. Yeah. So if any of the viewers would like to make use of your service, like, what effect will your service have on their business? Like, how can you help them in, like, what kind of solutions or problems can you solve for them, and how can they contact you for that as well?
Well, just search my name, Revel Loughlin, on Google. I'll come up in a little Google My Business listing, and then go to the website, and it'll follow me on socials. I'm pretty active on Instagram now that we're in Bali. I think additionally, majority of the clients that I work with have either been burnt by an agency, or they've tried to run some ads themselves to not much success. But what I usually do is have just a pretty casual conversation over the phone, and I'm asking questions to try and paint a picture of where I would take their product or their service. And as I'm talking to them, I'm actually running it through that value equation while I'm talking to them, asking questions to try and paint that picture or build that in my mind. And then if it makes sense to me, and a lot of the time I'll say to myself, wow, if that was my business, I could sell the shit out of that through ads. And if I get that to that point in that conversation, then I'm usually offering them a spot to do business together. Perfect example, a client in New South Wales in Australia who is in the equine, the horse industry, and he sells horse bedding. And the horse bedding he sells is 3 times cheaper than the industry standard, so it's 3 times cheaper. And it lasts 3 times longer.
Yes.
So we had a 10-minute conversation. Wayne's his name. Awesome dude. Really, like, kind of outback Australia guy. Really genuine guy. And within 10 to 15 minutes, I was like, yeah, man, I'll work it. This was an absolute no-brainer.
Sure.
And so if I get to that point, whether it's 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or 45 minutes, and I'm offering people a spot, then I'm like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. Yeah.
Why is this price so much lower if it's so much better?
He owns the manufacturing and distribution, and where he sources the product, he sources the material from to then manufacture it in his warehouse is incredibly cheap without compromising quality. So he's just I guess you would say he's an industry disruptor. Yeah.
But isn't it better to charge a little bit more, at least close to the competition? Because what you do is you bring your price down, and then you're either gonna run other out of business, which I guess might be the goal for some, but still you don't want them to then drop their prices, because then you're bringing the whole industry down.
I'm just speculating. You make a good point. I think I believe that his competitors can't actually drop too much out of their price. Let's say that they can, but the business he's in is very much recurring revenue. People will buy enough horse bedding for, I think, 3 months, or it will last up to 3 months, and then after 3 months they're coming back, and they're coming back, and they're coming back, and they're making savings, and they're getting more. Basically, it's a more valuable product than the competitors. So even if the competitors drop their prices, they're still not getting the duration out of the product. I guess.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
But you're right. Usually, generally speaking, if you have a better product, you are able to charge more. But if you have really good margins and you want to take over a market really quickly, then
I understand. If maybe that's his strategy to, like, scale the business until he has, like, a crap ton of clients, and then slowly push the price
runs
up.
out of horse bedding.
That's also a big strategy. People have to make something so cheap. There's 2 strategies. The one that those prime drinks used, where it's like overly inflated price just to pull attention, and then there's also the one where you charge next to nothing, just make, like, cut even on it, or sometimes even take a loss just to get your name out there.
Absolutely. You edging a really interesting topic. I can't remember where I was watching it recently, last couple of weeks, but in the topic of brand perception, I forget which luxury brand, let's just say Louis Vuitton, and they will have quite a high ticket item, let's say a bag for $30,000. They might have a few of them, and they don't sell many of them. But it increases among other things, increases the brand perception, so that now people come in and they'll happily spend $500 on a shirt. So I think it's fantastic. I love it. I'm not into it, but I love the concept and I love to see it work. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. I can't remember from what book, but there was a sales book that I've done, and they also said to have one extreme price for something like extremely well, even though you expect not to get much sales on it, you will, as you just said, for that reason, but also you will get that one guy that's willing to just spend that much.
Of course.
And just for him to feel like he's getting a lot more out of the deal. And it's just so many benefits to that.
I agree. I think we might have read the same sales book, because I seem to recall it was called price anchoring.
No, I didn't do that though.
So if I don't know, let's say we sell sunglasses for $500. We might have sunglasses for $1,000 or maybe $1,500, and we'll start there to anchor that price in our customer's mind, and then we go, oh, we have these $500 sunglasses. But if we start at $500, it's like in their minds, right? Their perception of how much it's going to cost is only here. But if we start up here, it's like, oh, this is a bargain.
Exactly. There's also one book, again, can't remember the name, but they had the example of a guy like in a tuxedo shop where you go in to buy a tuxedo, and they compared, is it better to give the guy like the small little add-ons so that you build up the price until you get to the suit, which is the bigger price, so just to easily get him to a higher price, or is it better to give him the suit and then sell him on more smaller things? And they found that it's better to give the big price first, and then he feels like, okay, I've already spent $1,000 on the suit, I might as well just $500 on a tie for some luxury tie, or $200 on some those knobs thingies, I don't know what you call it. Like just small things like the tie clip, and it's much easier to sell them
cufflinks.
Yes, cufflinks, there's a word. So it's much easier to sell them on from big to small, while a lot of people do it the opposite way, where they try and sell them, like give them smaller prices to ease in on the bigger ones.
It makes a lot of sense. And then a lot of my influence, once upon a time I used to sell commercial fitness equipment for a company in Australia, and like that influence came from the sales coaches at the time for the company. It was like start with the big commercial ones for like 15 grand a piece, and then slowly come down to like the $3,000 one or something like that. And as you mentioned, like you'll get someone that's like, yeah, I'll spend $15,000 on that Intensa treadmill, and then the majority would fall somewhere between like a $3,000 to $5,000 treadmill. But again, the price anchoring, I think, is really beneficial.
There's so many books that I've done, and I know the concept that they have in it, but I can't remember the book name, the author, anything. The one time I spoke to a guy, and like we got onto the topic of books, and it was actually an interview for a job, like a long time ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was a captain of a boat, and he was like super intelligent, and I was so happy to be able to like speak to him about the different books because we had a few in common that he's read and I've read. But then he started asking me who's the author, and I couldn't answer. I'm like, I don't know, I can't remember.
Right.
And then I felt bad because he probably thought maybe I'm just agreeing to him, saying yes, I also read that, but meantime I can't even name the author. But funny thing, and this is what I strongly believe in, and this comes down to this topic. Albert Einstein, someone once asked him for his phone number, and he went through a telephone book and paged up, found his phone number, and he read the phone number from the telephone book, and the person told him, if you're so clever, how can you not even memorize your own phone number? And he said that he won't clutter his brain with information he can find somewhere.
Fair.
And that's like for me, I feel those authors, it's not going to help me how in business or in life is it going to help me to remember the person's name that wrote the book, or all those other smaller details that's in the book that's not as important. So I feel like I'd rather have 10 good quality option or like info out of the book that you can remember that can help you than having 5 and a few smaller other things that's not as important. I feel
absolutely. Yeah,
for learning a lot in a short amount of time, that's definitely
absolutely.
the best
And
way.
I think you edge a really good topic where we can only retain so much information, and so you would hope that you're, retaining the high quality
Yeah,
information
exactly.
from the book or the audiobook.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing about audiobooks is, traveling a lot. You don't have to carry so many books because you're paying excess baggage and the rest of it. But I will usually take just some bullet points. Like I've got an app, everyone's got the Notes app in their phone. And whenever something really strikes me, I've gotten into a habit of, hey, Rev, open your damn phone and write down what you've just learned. It's just literally like 7 or 8 words or something like that. And those are little dot points that I review usually on a Friday when we have some of our big weekly team meetings.
Nice.
And I'll see if any of those are relevant or whether I can deploy and execute them. The worst thing that I think everyone does this, but I did it a lot early on in my, business career, is I'll have all of these ideas and then I forget about them.
Yeah.
And along the way, I would go back through some of like my journals, like what you've got there, and my diaries of what I've been doing, and I'd be like, why didn't I do anything with that? Like, that's such a great idea. And I'm like, I need to be much more diligent about executing on my ideas. Like, I've always been a fast executioner. I've always been quite fast in implementing things to figure out whether I can validate or invalidate whether they are or are not working. And additionally, so I'll take those bullet points, and usually once a week I'll convey them to the team just so I can throw it out there and see if anyone can build upon those, which has been super helpful.
Is this like ideas to use in your existing business, or do you mean like something outside of the business?
Daniel and I are never short of ideas on different businesses, but we're very hyper-focused these days. We like to entertain the idea, and we like to laugh about it. We like to look at the potential, and we kind of have this romantic business idea session, and then we're like, oh, okay, back to reality. Like, we have a solar business, and I have a marketing business, and that's that,
Is he able to also like travel like you, or is his work more like on site?
He's on site. So he's a family, 4.5 kids. He's got another one on the way very soon.
Nice.
He's got a house in Queensland. Very much a family guy. Like, he's a really good family man, really good father, very good business partner. Like, he's a superhero in my eyes.
Nice.
Because we have 35 staff, and he is essentially looking after all of those people.
I feel that's very important to have like a good partnership relationship.
Yeah.
That's something like I won't go into a partnership in a business. I've seen it with my dad. He had a bad experience when I was a little boy in a partnership. So I just told myself I'd never want to go into a partnership. I'll just take all the responsibility on my own hands.
It's interesting you mention that too, because seems to be really prevalent in the fitness industry. And I saw it a lot of times early on in my business career. My first business was a little quaint outdoor boot camp. So I used to train people outdoors. And what would happen is, similar to how you and I enjoy training and enjoy training together. Hopefully I don't whine too much. But, we like each other, we get along well, and we're just like, well, let's just start a business. That's a terrible idea to start a business, One of the things, because my business partner, Daniel, and I, we grew up together. I think we've known each other for over 20 years now, is we were very, very adamant in the fact that this business, if we start this, does not affect the friendship, full stop. If it does, we stop.
Yeah.
And so we had, I think the best thing that happened was we had a conversation and we documented everything. And we had all of the crap, hard conversations up front. It'd be like, well, what happens to the business if I just don't like you anymore as a person? What happens if I catch you stealing, or embezzling money or whatever it is? Like, just all of this really shady stuff. We had all of those conversations, and we just kept throwing it up, documented it all. And we're like, what are we going to do about this? And so I feel like we had like 99% of all of those conversations up front. Him and I maybe because we do have a lot of respect for each other, probably due to that as well. But we've never had a disagreement.
Yes.
You know, yeah, it's been a really enjoyable journey. And so when we hit challenges and roadblocks, which we've hit hundreds, you know, we can kind of like put both of our heads down, got each other's backs. His wife is phenomenal as well at solving a lot of problems, a lot of accounting problems. So like we've got a really good leadership team.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's very good. Everyone watching should be taking notes of that, because I feel that's like your go-to if you are in a partnership business, or if you want to be in a partnership business, or if you're planning on starting one, or anything, because to put those things in place, I feel like you're a lot more, like, you know what's going to happen if you do something wrong in that sense, so you don't do it to begin with.
Yeah.
Even though you probably already knew it's going to turn out that way if you do, but if it's not agreed and discussed and put in writing even beforehand, then there's an issue.
It's like I almost see it these days, not when we started, but these days I almost see it no different to a relationship with someone else. You know, it's kind of like we're going to start a relationship. Here is my boundaries. Here is my intentions with this relationship. I see it. It's probably just maybe not as important as like a long-term life partner relationship, that conversation, but probably a close second, because that is a make or break conversation. And it puts all of the gray area on the table and all of those topics, and then everyone can relax, and then there's nothing that comes up. No one gets resentful, I think, is the main point, because everything's discussed and everyone knows what everyone's role is, and then that's discussed.
Have you guys ever had a case where, for example, you wanted to implement or add or change something in the business, or opposite, and he doesn't want to, or like the other way around?
Yeah, we've had a few. And
what do you
so
do then?
like Daniel and I will discuss it. Again, I think it's because we have a lot of respect for each other. And I'm not shy, just the exposure we've had to each other and the experiences we've been through, I assume that's why we have a lot of respect for each other. So we're always open to hearing each other out in terms of the ideas we bring to the table. And then we're very effective at, because we're Australian, we're highly sarcastic people. So we can absolutely tear down someone's idea in a very funny way, between Daniel and I, in a very fun way, and then be like, but also like ... you know, but also this is why I think that. So yeah, I think that's just kind of unique to our relationship as friends before being, you know, business partners. So whenever there's kind of and most of the time it's just Daniel will bring an idea to the table, and it's like this. Like, for example, we're talking very seriously about moving into solar panel cleaning, because it's got the recurring revenue aspect built into the back of it, and we can plug it into the back of the business and service clients that customers we've had for years. So you know, at the moment, we did start to do that over maybe 2 years ago now, and play around with that idea. And we kind of it was a half-baked idea, and then I forget why we stopped, and now we're revisiting it now. And so Daniel's throwing a lot of things on the table, which is strange to think. Do you remember that game back in the day on the old, I don't know if it was Nintendo or whatever it was called Duck Hunt? And you had the little orange gun, and you shoot the ducks come out of the sky, and the pixelated as hell. I feel like the duck hunter, and I feel like Daniel's ideas are the ducks, and I'm sitting here like pew, 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 like this, and it sounds terrible, because I would say one of our favorite quotes is, "Jump first and assemble the plane on the way down." And hopefully you assemble before you crash. So we're not risk averse, put it that way. But I am more risk averse than Daniel is, which is funny. So when he brings the ideas to the table, I'm kind of sitting here. I feel like I'm sitting here going tim tim tim, which sounds terrible, but it's always out of respect, and it's always from like a larger perspective of, does this serve where we're headed with the business at this point in time, and does this also serve our obviously our customers, our staff and their families, Daniel, and everyone else involved.
So if there's anyone watching that's not an entrepreneur and maybe want to get into this, or they might be already have a business or two behind them, and they want to get into solar or even the marketing side, what kind of advice would you give them? Like, for starting off, where should they learn? how should they try and educate themselves?
YouTube's fantastic. Like all the information is there. I'll plug Alex Hormozy. I think his channel and his books, and he's also created mini video courses around the books. So there's $100 million offers, which will give you training around what to sell and how to portray it as valuable as possible. And then the newest book, which came out halfway through last year, was $100 million leads, and that will show you how to find customers to sell your offer to. I think those two books are like amazing. Yeah, I can't say enough about them because they're just actionable insights. If you've got someone that is an action taker, if anyone's watching who executes pretty quickly, these books are fantastic because it's just like, here's what to do, here's how much volume you have to do to get a result. Now all you need to do is go and do it. The only thing I would say is that definitely practice delayed gratification when taking some of these things, because people are like, oh, I did it for 30 days, but I didn't get a result. So I was like, man, how about, what's that quote? It's like, people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 5.
Sure.
So, over a long enough time horizon, you can achieve a lot. But I think his books and his online courses attached to those books, which are free. You don't even have to give an email address. It just gives it all the way for free. Amazing. I think are very good resources for any new business owner doing anything. So I would start with $100 million offers, and then I would read $100 million leads.
In the sense of your business being like automated, and that's what I want this whole podcast to be about, is like how different systems that people use, because this is something that I feel is very important in my own business, for my own success, for any business success. Because, for example, like I like starting new businesses. So for me to just work in one the whole time is tedious. I like to do more. So in order to do more, I need to create systems that will like run this one by itself. For example, the short-term rental one, that one is pretty much self-running. But now the software one, I'm expanding so much and like implementing so many new things. So at the moment, it's just simply not possible to like automate everything, but we eventually will get there. So I believe your marketing one is a better example to use, since you have a partner in the solo one, because they obviously, you split the jobs in half. But in this business, what do you have in place already that's like automating the system, and what is there that you might have in mind to implement so that it will be automated?
Zapier is my first answer to that question.
Tell me more
Zapier is a platform that makes other platforms talk to each other, send data. So Zapier I've used for many, many years, and there is alternatives out there that are better and cheaper, but I'm a creature of habit. So for example, my Zapier account, and even our Zapier account for solar business, has all manner of automations that, instead, simple things like little admin tasks, like taking an email from here, from a Facebook ad, and putting it into MailChimp or ActiveCampaign email marketing system, or into a Pipedrive, our CRM. That little task right there is saving someone, let's just say 30 seconds. Sure. And if we're getting, north of 200 leads per week, that's a lot of seconds, and then that's a lot of seconds we don't have to pay someone, nor should they be doing that if we can automate it. So automating the marketing business has been relatively easy because automation comes naturally with marketing as a service. And obviously the incorporation of AI is really helpful as well. So, I mean, this isn't necessarily automation, but it's saving us a lot of time by building the foundation of a client's, say, script, or coming up with different ideas for an ad, or copywriting for their ad copy. And we'll get, say, 60% of that work done. And we calculated, several months ago now, just by doing that, we are saving somewhere north of about 7 hours a week. Just by using that. Huge. Just for that. And then we put our human touches on it to keep it human, because it's not quite there yet. But other automations that we're using is simply onboarding a client. The get the email address, which is automated, click a button, invoice goes out, they pay the invoice, then that sends a zap to this app that takes their email address from the email that they pay the invoice from and sends them the onboarding email. And then a timer goes off for X amount of time, let's say 30 minutes that they've opened it, whatever it is, for them to give us access to the account or that kind of stuff, or if they need additional help to do that. All these like little techie things, but it's all built usually in automations and just the marketing business, usually built around Zapier as a software. So Zapier, if you want to sponsor this video, give me a shout. But super helpful, and there's almost no software that they can't integrate with, which is quite helpful. Yes, yeah, so even little things like if a customer makes a inquiry on a Facebook lead form or a TikTok lead form, takes that information and puts it into our CRM, also puts it into our email marketing, also sends them a text, say, quick response or confirmation. Hey, Daniel, thanks for reaching out to QVault Solar. We'll give you a call tomorrow around this sort of time. Have a great night. Just confirming that we've received your inquiry. And then it might take that, put it in a Google spreadsheet. So we've got a second touch point of all of our data. And then it might take that and, write up, connect to ChatGPT and write up a welcome email for them that's as personalized as possible with the information that we've got.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah.
That's very nice. With the short-term rental company, we also have like everything's automated, like the price, even every 24 hours, the prices for every single night change.
Oh, nice.
Because it's dynamic pricing. So it's the same as like hotels and airports, like flight. Every single day, the price is basically different depending on the market, the demand, the supply, all of that. So that we have a tool that's just like doing that 24/7 every single day, and I can manually change it as well. I can even let it do every 12 hours if I want to, but for 24 isn't fine. We also have like messaging, and we can implement AI so that it answers questions, but I feel like we only get maybe 1 or 2 questions from a guest. So that's maybe 1 or 2 questions in 3 days.
Right.
So I feel like that little bit of human touch I'm fine with.
Yeah.
So
fair.
We do that, but all the other messages like welcoming, after booking confirmation, check in, check out details, all of that is like automated messages that is being sent, and it still kind of sound human, but in the beginning of the one message I do say like, even though this is an automated message, just to try and like admit to them that this is automated, and then after that I don't say this is automated, so then they think, okay, maybe that one was automated but the rest not.
Right.
But I think any business basically will have like a copy paste system at least. But this is obviously automated. That, and then the guest guidebook is also electronic. So, and that is AI. Like they can actually like say in the guest guidebook that create a plan for like here for 2 days, and I like water sports, and then it will generate like an itinerary for them. Like then they can go deep sea diving or whatever AI would suggest.
That's excellent.
And like questions is answered there, all the Wi-Fi details. So I think that might also be a reason why we only get 1 or 2 questions during a whole stay, because
AI is doing all the heavy lifting, as it should.
Everything is automated in there. So even the messages for the cleaning, like the cleaning team gets like a message like, hey, this person, Daniel, is checking out on Wednesday, 4 o'clock, 10 o'clock or whatever. So even that, like for the team, is automated. Like, so I literally don't have to do anything. The only thing that I found hard is to scale the business, because I tried to hire people to reach out to more landlords, but it's difficult for them to like know the knowledge that I do, and it's going to take too long for me to tell and train them on all of that. So I felt like I just have to do that, but then again, I'm also busy with the other business and so busy with all other things that I don't always get the time to actually put in the amount of time that I should for growing that.
Makes a lot of sense. Like we've had a personnel issue with the solar business for the better part of 18 months to 2 years.
Sure.
It's two things. You're either really good at training staff,
Yeah.
or you're really good at attracting, A players.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone wants A players, people who fit the culture and that work really well.
So hard
Highly
to
skilled.
get them.
And so, same kind of thing with the solar business is, it's hard to find really hard to find A players, but
Yeah.
a really interesting perspective we got from Anna, who is our business coach for the solar business, was that you're better off finding someone that is an A player in terms of fitting the culture, because you can train that skill. Whereas someone that doesn't fit the culture
Yeah.
is always going to be
Yeah.
poison to the company.
Exactly.
And so, like, for example, you can have someone who's an A player in terms of their skill set. Let's say they're exceptional salespeople, but they're quite poisonous to the culture. It brings the whole culture and company down, and then not much money coming in.
Yeah.
So that was a really interesting point that made a lot of sense to us. But yeah, I mean, all the growing pains that at least I've experienced and been exposed to in the solar business, even the marketing business, but more so the solar business, because there's a lot more people there and a bigger team, have always been around personnel. Not just retaining staff, but finding A players and training those, and then maybe even potentially training those people up.
Yeah.
Because when those people leave for a myriad of reasons, maybe they're moving on to something different, maybe they're moving somewhere else, or moving into a different industry, let's say, then obviously it's our job to fill that extremely quickly, without being detrimental to growth. So scaling is always, the majority of the time I've found, has always been usually a HR or a personnel issue. That's usually the first obstacle. So like yourself, it would be like, I mean, no one's going to do the job nearly as good as you, which is an interesting point, because generally speaking, in your leadership management team, you actually want people who are better at you than the thing. And that's really helpful as well. So, yeah.
To emphasize on the point that you just made, like, I also believe that this is something every single business owner should be able to master, or not master, but understand, is the fact that it's more about the personality that you hire, less than the skill, even though skill is important and also a big plus if they already have it. But I've seen quite recently where, if I compare two people, the one person might have in the past made some little mistakes, or they might have forgotten something, or some small things, but I can see that they want to, and I can see that they have the passion for it. While on the other hand, there's someone that's just like negligent, or just like not considering what they are doing, and then even though they might have the skill, they don't fully think about the outcome, so then they end up making the same mistake as the person not knowing, but the difference is this person learned from it, and then they rise up, while this person, as long as they're going to stay like that, is just going to stay there forever. And something that I always tell this kind of person, because obviously they feel bad after they make a mistake, and you have to call them out. It's not always nice, but you have to tell them, like, hey, this was wrong, I don't want you to do this. This is the better way of doing it. And I always tell them, like, even if it cost me money, let's say, for example, this cost me, or the business cost $500, let's use Australian dollars. This cost the business $500, but they always feel like, oh, like, I'm costing the business that. But I always like tell them, like, you didn't cost me this as a loss. I paid you $500 for you to learn that lesson.
You paid down the ignorance tax.
So that's a better way of looking at it, because if you look at it as a loss, you're just going to struggle to actually build this person up, and you want them to build the confidence.
Absolutely,
And I've seen it over and over where this kind of person, then they actually, like, they don't make the same mistake again. And that's crucial, while this person is just the same mistake over and over. And I believe in hire slow, fire fast. So cases like that, the person that just don't do it, it's better just to cut them their ties.
Makes sense.
If there's anything you want to add on that topic, you can. If there's not, then, or if you're finished with adding that, you can give them one more time, like, how they can get in contact with you. We will also leave it at the bottom of the video with links, or wherever they are watching it, there will be a link somewhere where they can see your Instagram and website or anything else.
Excellent.
So I'll leave that for you to finish up.
Thank you for letting me be your first guest on this wonderful podcast.
Thank you for being
I am
on the
blessed.
podcast.
I have much pride in this moment right here, always being on the first on the podcast. But generally speaking, if anyone is out there and even just wants to have a general chat, you can usually find me on Instagram. If I'm really busy, then I'll usually send you like a 15 or 30-second voice note and answer your question, or at least point you to resources where you can solve the problem or book a call and we can talk about doing some advertising, most for lead generation kind of stuff. Yeah,
That's good. Thank you.
thanks, bro.
Hopefully this is one of the first of 100 plus.
1 on 100
podcasts.
plus. Yeah, I'll be here for every episode.
Yeah, maybe we can do one again one day when you're back
absolutely.
in Bali.
Absolutely.
To go a little bit more in depth. So thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys.
See you in the next episode.